The knock at my door was unexpected, but the man standing there was even more shocking. My wife's lover. Smug? Confident? He tossed a thick stack of cash onto my table and smirked. Take the money. Walk away. Rachel's mine, now he thought I was weak. He had no idea the storm I was about to unleash. The house used to feel like home. Now, it felt like a museum, a place filled with expensive things, completely devoid of warmth. I sat at the dining table, staring at the flickering candlelight against the polished wood. Across from me sat an empty plate, a full glass of wine, Rachel's 3 weeks now. She had barely touched dinner. Always too busy. Always too tired. Always somewhere else. I wanted to believe she was just overwhelmed with work. That the late nights at the office, the sudden coldness between us, the whispered phone calls behind locked doors were nothing more than stress. But, deep down, I knew better. The first real crack appeared last week. I had leaned in to kiss her goodbye before work, the way I always had. She turned her face at the last second, so my lips met her cheek instead. A simple gesture. A devastating confirmation. Still, I held on until that night. I was cleaning up after dinner when her phone buzzed on the counter. I wouldn't have looked, would have just ignored it, like always. But the message preview caught my eye last night was incredible. Can't wait to see you again. I felt my stomach drop. My hands moved before my mind caught up, swiping the screen open. Her phone had a lock now, something she never used before, but her messages still showed previews. Him wish you were in my bed right now, instead of next to him. Rachel soon, I'm counting down the days. The words blurred as my vision pulsed red. My hands clenched around the counter. I forced myself to breathe. To think anger wouldn't fix this. But revenge. Revenge would. I didn't confront her right away. No, that would be too easy. Instead, I started watching. Rachel had no idea that I had become an investigator, overnight. Her usual late nights at work followed, leaving at 6, parking a few blocks away, disappearing into a high-rise apartment for hours. I followed her once. I saw them together. He was younger, arrogant, the kind of man who thought wealth made him untouchable. A stockbroker, I learned later. One who played dirty. Rachel wrapped her arms around him in the dim light of his penthouse window, kissed him, smiled at him in a way she hadn't smiled at me in months, and just like that, the woman I had loved for a decade was a stranger. I could have confronted her that night. Burst into that apartment, screamed, fought, demanded answers. But she wasn't worth my rage. She was only worth my ruin. The next evening, a knock rattled my front door. I opened it to find him standing there. Rachel's lover. He strolled inside like he owned the place. An expensive suit draped over his broad shoulders, his smirk practiced and precise. He carried an envelope thick, filled with money, and dropped it onto my dining table. Take the money, he said casually, like we were making a business deal. Leave tonight. Rachel's mine now. For a moment, I just stared at him. The audacity. The sheer gall of this man. Then slowly, I walked toward the table. Picked up the envelope. Flipped through the bills, hundreds neat and crisp. A weak man would have thrown a punch. A desperate man would have begged. But I wasn't weak. I wasn't desperate. I smiled. You think you can buy me out of my own life? I asked, my voice steady. He shrugged. I think you're smart enough to walk away while you still can. I took a step closer, voice dropping to a whisper. You have no idea what kind of problem you just created for yourself. His smirk faltered for the first time. Good. Let him be afraid. I didn't take the money. I didn't yell. I didn't let on that I was 3 steps ahead of them. Instead, I became a ghost in my own marriage. I let Rachel think I was broken, defeated. Let her lover think he had one. While they played house behind my back, I worked in the shadows. First, I hired a private investigator. Not just to confirm the affair, I had already seen enough, but to dig deeper. What he found changed everything. Rachel wasn't just cheating on me. She was stealing from her own company. A tiny little embezzlement scheme she thought no one would ever uncover. And her lover, a fraud. His entire investment firm ran on insider trading documents. If the SEC got wind of it, he'd lose everything. I smiled. This wasn't just about betrayal anymore. This was about destruction. I collected everything: bank statements, email threads, hidden accounts, a paper trail long enough to bury them both. Then I made my move. Rachel came home late expecting that night, an empty house. Instead, she found me waiting in the kitchen, her phone unlocked on the table. She froze. I slid a manila envelope across to her. "Open it." She did. And as she flipped through the evidence: fraud, embezzlement, proof of her affair, her face turned ghostly white. "You," her voice cracked. "You wouldn't." I leaned forward, voice deadly calm. "I already did." Before she could react, the front door burst open. Her lover stumbled inside, his face flushed with panic. "You set me up," he snarled. Eyes wild. "The SEC is investigating me. I could lose my license. Do you have any idea what you've done?" Rachel turned to me, eyes pleading. "We can fix this." I stood up, walked to the door. Looked them both in the eye. "No, you can fix it together." And then I walked out. By the time the dust settled, Rachel had lost everything. Her career. Her reputation. The cushy executive job was gone, her name dragged through the mud as the scandal exploded. Her lover, bankrupt. His firm collapsed under federal investigation. His riches to rags story became headline news, and me. I walked away with my head held high. Not broken. Not defeated. Stronger. Some betrayals don't just break you. They build you. What would you have done in my place? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories of betrayal and revenge.